All right, here we are in study 6 of Colossians. Today we're going to be looking at chapter 1, verse 24 to 29. So we're going to finish chapter 1. And before we do, we'll answer the questions from verse 21 to 23. Now, if you remember, this was about the past, present, and future of the Colossian believers. So question 1 was about their past. The Colossian believers were once hostile, wicked strangers of God. They had willingly separated from him in open rebellion of all his good commandments. And it's quite similar to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1 to 3, and verse 11 to 12 as well. Question 2 then was about their present, or the present when Paul was writing. The Colossian believers were now reconciled through Christ, the Lord of creation, who took on flesh and died for them. Go also to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 4 to 5, and verse 13 to 19. Question 3 was about their future. The Colossian believers would one day be presented before God by Christ as holy, blameless, and without stain. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 6, and also Jude, verse 24. Now, all that's true of the Colossian believers is true of you if you have trusted in the person and work of Christ alone. So now we're in study 6, verse 24 to 29. In chapter 1 so far, verse 1 to 12 was greeting and thanksgiving and prayer. Verse 13 to 23 was about the person of Christ and what the true gospel is. Now in chapter 1 verse 24 to chapter 2 verse 5, Paul is going to talk about his apostleship and ministry. So we're now in a new section. And here Paul is going to write about his apostleship, his ministry. First he writes about his ministry in general, here at the end in chapter 1 verse 24 to 29. Then he's going to write about his specific ministry towards the Colossian believers in chapter 2, verse 1 to 5. So we have 4 questions today. Question 1, what is Paul's attitude to his sufferings in verse 24? Question 2, what is the hidden mystery that has now been revealed? Verse 25 to 27. Question 3, what is Paul's great goal? Verse 25 and verse 28 to 29. And question 4, this is an important one. What strength does Paul use? Verse 29. God bless.